Okay guys, so today I have a 2010 Kenworth. It's got the C15 Acert engine, and as you can see, the turbo was blowing oil into the exhaust, and it was also blowing the exhaust pressure back through into the oil pan. So what I'm going to be doing is reinstalling the turbos. So first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you get everything clean. So I'm going to go ahead and buff this out. I'll clean all this up where the oil seals are going to go and all that, top and bottom. Make sure you get them all this right here. You just want to make sure it's nice and clean. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Then I'll be installing these puppies. This is the low pressure turbo, this is the high pressure turbo, and brand new. These are pretty expensive, so my customer went with the option of getting them rebuilt. So it took more or less a week to send these out and get them back from the shop, from the turbo shop. So there it is. So I'm gonna be cleaning that off first, and then I'll show you guys how I'm gonna do it. Alright YouTube, so as you can see, the first thing I did is I prepped my surfaces. As you can see, this is the drain tube for the drain tubes for the turbos are these two right here, and then the ones that throw oil into the turbos are these flexible lines here. So I went ahead and buffed out those surfaces, buffed out more or less what I could on the exhaust gasket. And a little cheat here, I put a little thin layer of grease on that rubber hose that connects to the turbo. That way it'll be way much easier to install. Also, as you guys can see, I left my clamps in place where it's fixed. I left them in place. That'll make it much easier, and that's pretty much how you have to do it. For example, this one right here, it's in a pretty tight space once you put in the turbo. So trying to put that on once you have the turbo installed is going to be a pain. So yeah, just try and have those in place, and somewhere where you can access the end of the bolt there, that nut. So this one I can get it from down here. That's how I took it off, and that's how I left it. So there you guys go. I'll bring you guys back when I put one in. Alright, so I went ahead and I placed my gasket in there. Make sure free of oil, free of grease. And I already have my nuts on that side ready. Get that out the way. So what I'm gonna have to do is line this up, and I'm gonna have to make sure it also goes on this right here. Make sure it goes on the. Alright, so we're in. That hose back there is in right there. So I'll try and keep it steady with one hand, and I'll go ahead and get some nuts on there. Now you guys be sure when you guys are installing this, try and get them on there, because if it falls, it's gonna fall right under the turbo, or anything that drops down, any small bolt or anything or nut, it can get wedged in there, and you're gonna have to take it apart and put it back in. As you can see, I have my 3/8 here with the 5/8 already ready to tighten up, and I just want to get it just a little bit snug. I don't want to tighten it yet. that one snug. And you see what I have here is my 5/8 with a wobble, little wobble extension. And if you guys see the tape there, you know what that's for. It's just so I can get into these places and it won't be flopping around on me. So right now I just put 2 on there, get them in there snug. Go ahead and put the other ones on there. Now this one actually has a bolt through it. As you can see, it doesn't have the thread inside the cast of the manifold. So this one I'm actually gonna do upside down because I don't want that nut to fall and go into the death trap I just told you about. So go ahead and flip this one around. Some of that dirt away from there. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to do that, so it's too long. The other one was shorter, so I'll go ahead and just do it on there like that. Just be careful with this nut. It's not a race, so you don't want to rush it and drop that nut into the death trap. Alright, see if it's on there. Alright, and before I tighten it down, I'm going to just make sure that it's on this clamp back here. If not, I'll have to realign it. So yeah, that's pretty much on there. Check the gap, make sure you're in there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw that clamp over it. And we'll tighten that up later. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the bottom gasket for the oil drain. And I'm going to hold off on the top ones, and I'll show you guys later why. So I'm going to go ahead and put that bottom drain, tighten those up, torque them down, tighten my clamp, and then I'll get into putting that top turbo. Alright guys, so as you guys can see, I already I torqued down the bolts to the exhaust manifold. I tightened up that clamp back there. I installed the oil drain. And now before I put this line on, what I want to do is I'm going to throw some oil into the turbo and spin it, just to make sure we got some oil in there. You never want to dry start them. I know they probably put some oil in it when they rebuilt the turbo, but I mean, still, on the transport or anything, it could lose oil. So I'm definitely gonna throw some oil in there, give it some spins, just to make sure it's lubricated. And then from there, I'm gonna put in the top turbo, and I guess I'll bring you guys back when I got that done. So there you guys have it. Alright guys, so as y'all can see, it's going. I went ahead and installed that top turbo. I kind of set these in there. You know, first I got it into this rubber boot right here. Then I shifted it over and dropped it down to where it aligned with this bolt, because this is the one that was on there already. So I went ahead and pushed it in there with my pry bar. And I got this aligned while it was still loose. I got it aligned and I got that clamp on there. And then it would have been easier if I would have waited to put this one. So if you want to wait and not put that one, wait. And then that way you can tighten down the drain tube for the turbo. Then I went ahead and put some oil in the top turbo and tightened down my bolts. Don't forget the gasket right there. And then and these I still haven't tightened because we got a problem. This right here is not lining up. As you can see, this is the one that goes from the bottom turbo to the top turbo, and it's not lining up. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna loosen this clamp right here, and then I'm just gonna shift this up a little bit to where it aligns. As you can see, I moved it a little bit there. So I'll just mess with it up and down a little bit to where it aligns. So that's a neat tip, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if I would have tightened these clamps down. So always try and you know, stay one step ahead of what you're doing, just to make sure everything gets assembled properly before you actually tighten things down. So as you can see, again, this one's on here loose. I just wanted to see where it was at over here. You can see that that's the one that goes to the turbo for the actuator. It goes on that line right there. You see right there, it's got that fitting. So that's why I left it loose, just to make sure if I need to make any arrangements, I'll do so while it's still loose and not have to untighten, you know, loosen bolts and do all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna put all this together and then we'll take it to the next step. Oh, I'm also gonna put this. Well, I'm gonna do this first. Tighten this down. You know, once I put it on this side, that little rubber hose. I'm gonna put that little rubber hose in. It's right there under the turbo. So I'm gonna put that hose in there, clamp it down, and then I'm gonna tighten this up. I'll put the clamp in here and tighten that up, and then once that's in the proper position, I'll retighten this turbo here. And remember, you don't want to loosen any of the middle clamp, only the outer one where you got this right here. And then tighten those down and put in this elbow right here, tighten that down, and then I'll bring you back for the next step. Alright guys, so this is where we're at now. I went ahead and put this in, tighten everything up, went over everything twice, made sure I have everything tight. Now don't make the same mistake I did, and right here at the top turbo on the base, it has three long extensions, three spacers. Just make sure you put the short one on this side where the clamp is at. If not, you won't be able to get that clamp on there and tighten it up. So okay, now I'm going to take it to the next. Now, yeah, just make sure you get everything tied. Now I'm going to take it to the next step. Alright guys, so here we're on the intake side of the motor, and now what you need to do is you're going to take off this clamp right here. I mean, you could do it on this one also, but this one will let me pull it down, and that's because in all reality you guys need to clean the air to air on these, because they accumulate oil, and that's when the trucks will run away from you, meaning you'll have no control. Even if you turn off the key, you will not be able to stop this engine, even if your life depended on it. So I've seen that before at a truck stop. The guy decided to change his own turbo. He did not clean the air to air, and he pretty much overheated the engine, and it was pretty much done for. It stopped until it failed. So alright, now that I got the other side, everything tight and everything, I'm gonna go ahead and take off this clamp, pull it down. If you're on cement or something, you might want to put a bucket down there to catch all the oil that comes out. But here we're just on dirt road, so I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. Alright guys, so for you guys as a viewing pleasure, I went ahead and took off that boot. I got myself a pipe here attached to the air-to-air on the output side. I got that bucket there, so I'm gonna see how much oil is in that air-to-air. Then while I do that, I'm also gonna go to the other side and check for leaks, any exhaust leaks, turbo air leaks, and oil leaks. So let's do this. Nothing. There we go. Alright, everything seems good, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave it running for a little bit, step on the gas and make sure everything's good. I'll bring you guys back.